we're talking about Kansas early muzzleloader season in September. Last year in fall 2022, I was in Kansas hunting. It was an awesome time. It was great. Here's a buck that I come out there with. A buddy of mine, he came out with also an awesome buck. I'll post a picture of it up here. And anyway, when I went to researching this hunt, I couldn't find a ton of information on specifically muzzleloader hunting in September. Yeah, you'll find stuff about some outfitters and some guides and some stuff like that. But just like cold hard information, there's not a lot of it out there. So I hope this video finds you well, and I hope this video helps you in your pursuit of a deer this fall in Kansas, specifically in September. Now this video is going to be about some things we ran into as far as what we was not expecting to find. And I wouldn't call them a setback necessarily, but the main thing that I'm going to talk about, and I'll show you some pictures of, was ridiculous. And I'll just get right to that, was ticks and chiggers. The ticks and chiggers in Kansas last September, it was nuts. Like, we're used to seeing ticks here in Virginia. It's like the deer ticks or bigger ticks. Sometimes you see some small ones, but like the ticks we ran into were like the size of like a flake of a pepper, end of a ballpoint pen. Like you couldn't even see them. And so what happened was, the first night we were there, we did like some scouting from the truck, run around, didn't get out in the woods a whole lot. No issues. First day we get out, I'm sitting on the ground hunting, and we go back to the house, probably like midday, don't really know what time. Anyway, that evening we go out and hunt, come back in. Obviously it was like, you know, the heat was out. We took showers, cleaned up. Like, I'm not a slob. Like, I use a wash rag, soap, hot shower, and I scrubbed up. Well, I get out of the shower, and I can see like these dots on my legs. I'm like, dang, like that's now it's starting to itch, you know. Turns out that was from chiggers. Well, then we get into the ticks. Okay, the ticks was ridiculous. I was finding on me. I'm talking like I'm picking off like 10 to 30 teeny tiny ticks off of me and outing, and it was like that for the first 2 days. We was using bug spray, definitely not the right stuff. The stuff you can buy at Walmart did absolutely nothing for these things. I eventually started like taping my pant legs, make sure I was tucked down my boots, and I was still getting in through that a little bit, but nothing too terrible once I started doing that. But I went back to Kansas this past spring, and it was fairly warm when we was out there, and I soaked down in some Sawyer's tick spray for bugs. Just let me grab that and I'll show it to you. So this is the stuff I used when I went back to Kansas this spring. Worked awesome. Didn't find a tick on me, never had a bite from a chigger, a bug, nothing. My buddy that was with me, a different story. He had ticks and chiggers on him when we was in Kansas this spring. Now, I did have a local tell me that the ticks usually aren't that bad. This was also the same local that we think was trying to steal some stuff out of my truck too, so take that for what it's worth. But anyway, be prepared for ticks. Mosquitoes weren't so bad, but you know, it goes hand in hand. So be prepared for ticks and mosquitoes. Treat your clothes, treat yourself. All I can say is I would rather treat my clothes and myself with bug spray and probably smell a little bit funky and have to play the wind more than do without. I cannot emphasize that enough, how bad the ticks were. All right, the next thing that I will talk about is just like how thick the vegetation was, even in Kansas in September. Now, I'm sure certain parts of Kansas would not be as thick as this was, but the wood lines and fence rows and just any edge area where we was hunting at was so thick. Like we couldn't even use our tree saddles in some spots we was hunting at. It just, you couldn't. We were sitting on the ground using like the seats that you strap to a tree. So we used those and mixture sitting on logs just to get off the ground with the ticks and chiggers. But you just have a small hole you can be shooting through, or we try to get in the shadows right on the edge. So I really wasn't expecting that for the area we was in. Now we was in like the first third of Kansas coming from the east. I know the western part of Kansas is a little bit more, I don't even want to say arid, but not as thick as far as brush. But the first third of Kansas, be prepared if you're out there in September for a lot of just thick, nasty brush. And so what happened was that totally like changed our game plan of how we was going to hunt. We was talking about hunting out like tree saddles and tree stands, and you could do that, and you can, but just where the deer were at, where we was hunting at, we didn't have that option. Both of these deer we killed from the ground. The longest shot was like 80 yards. Now we had thought our shots would be possibly further than that. And actually this deer I shot him really close, like maybe 20 yards. But anyway, I was shooting through, I just had a tiny pocket to shoot through. I was able to sneak up on him because of that. But yeah, we were not expecting how thick the vegetation was going to be. So, and that would go hand in hand with just be prepared for your shots to look a little bit different than how you've been practicing. I had a set of shooting sticks with me, and I was able to drop down on one knee, and I was going to try to shoot, and I just couldn't get a good spot because there's so much brush. I wanted to shoot him offhanded. Again, the brush was just a huge issue, and I had time. I just set my shooting sticks up, and actually I was shooting kind of like in a real awkward crouched, not kneeling, not standing position. So just be prepared for the brush and be prepared for your shots to maybe look a little bit different than what you're expecting if you're in, say, the first third of Kansas coming from the east. So yeah, the ticks, big thing. Your shot being a little bit different than what you're expecting because of the brush. It's a big thing. And the third thing is I'm not trying to hype up Kansas, but we literally saw one other deer hunter when we were there. We hunted, I think 5 days, maybe 6 counting our travel day. I have to look at that. But, and that could be a mixture of the heat. Like we're talking, like the day we drug this deer out, it was over 100 degrees when we got him out. So, not everybody and their brother wants to be out there hunting in that kind of weather. But in the mornings, it would be in the 80s when we was going in. It would hit close to 100 really quick. The evenings, it was always in the 90s walking in, and we would stay till dark. But yeah, so we didn't see another hunter though. So that was great. We did not see another muzzleloader hunter. I did see 2 bow hunters. That was in an area a little bit closer to a town. We changed gears, went somewhere else. After that, it was basically to ourselves. And that was really refreshing. Again, we had local tell us most of the time people are out. I don't know if I buy that. It was middle of the week, and looked like a lot of the locals were holding guns till, well, not guns, they were just biding their time until November to get out in the woods hunting. And probably October too. But anyway, yeah, I say go for it. If you can apply in Kansas, you think you got enough points to draw you a muzzleloader tag, you can go out in September and hunt. If you don't do any good then, you can go back in December and hunt. It's a heck of a bargain. Yeah, the tag's a little bit costly, but whatever. Deal with it. I mean, in my opinion, is a great buck for anybody, especially out there. The buck my buddy killed was an awesome buck. So yeah, just be prepared for the bugs, ticks, and chiggers, mosquitoes. Be prepared for thick vegetation, for your shots to look a little bit different than what you're probably going to be expecting. The third, yeah, I mean, plan for hunting pressure, but me personally, I think you're going to find room to get around and avoid people. So, I hope this video helps. I hope you're out in Kansas this fall. Hopefully I'll be there next fall with you. So yeah, get out there, bust you a big one, and enjoy.